Hey everyone, welcome back to Talent Alchemy, the podcast where we turn skills and technology into something little more magical and a lot more practical. And I'm so excited about today's conversation because we are diving into the world of skills, job architecture, and how organizations can truly understand the talent they already have. And today I'm joined by Hanns Adderholt, the founder of Cobrainer. What started as a university project to help students has grown into a powerful skills platform, which is used by many organizations globally. And Cobrainer is also one of SAP's skills architecture partners, a key one, and they're part of our open skill ecosystem. Hans, I'm so glad to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Rinky, thanks so much for having me. Really cool to be able to talk skills today. Looking forward to kind of going back and forth on, something that's, really, really been close to me for over a decade now. So it's, yeah, really great to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, and I want to focus on skills, and this topic sits right at the heart of everything happening in HR tech space right now. AI, hybrid work, talent shortages, growing need for real internal mobility, and more than ever, we see many SAP customers or just organizations are realizing that job titles alone just don't cut it anymore, right? What truly matters are skills, the ones people have today, the ones they are building, and the ones business need for the future. And in the success factors world, we see this coming to life through Talent Intelligence Hub, which is helping our customers build a unified skills based foundation. We also need a strong skills architecture and the right ecosystem partners like you to make it real. So, Hans, your work has been focused on helping organizations truly understand and activate their skills data in a very practical way. So tell us a bit about how is CoreBrainer helping customers build that strong skills foundation and connect that into platforms like Talent Intelligence Hub.
Yeah. Well, look, skills is a super interesting topic, and for me, it's always, the why is it so interesting? Because it's actually so opinionated. Like asking somebody, telling somebody like what their job is and what skills they're supposed to have and what skills they actually do have. That's something extremely personal to basically all of us, right? It's it's part of our personality. So I think that's something that, you know, really now in the past, let me say like 1 or 2 years, really has come to somewhat of a realization in many organizations that skills is something that is deeply personal to all employees, and I really need to involve everybody in defining that skill set, that skill architecture. It's not an exercise purely by HR. It's actually an exercise by the entire business,
Hmm.
because it's so deeply personal. And so
Hmm.
that's and skills on a meta level is actually very personal to me because we've been working on this topic of 15 plus years now. And like 15 years ago, like nobody was talking about skills, right? Skills back then was something that has been tried and tested for decades prior, never worked. And we kind of came out of this university project which explicitly tried to just bring together student teams from different faculties. And we developed a neural net actually back then when we started founding a company called Neural Network Technologies. We built our first neural net yeah, like right in 2012. And we based that out of this experience that skills is something very personal. As we go in this university project trying to profile students, we realize in all faculties, amongst different people have different ideas of skills. So first of all, you need some sort of translation in terms of what are you talking about, student from faculty X versus what are you talking about, student from faculty Y. And it might be the same, just like slightly worded differently. And so we first of all realized we need to somehow have a layer that translates. And like even if it's in one language, people kind of describe themselves differently. They have different CVs, they have different experiences, and that translates. It didn't really ever translate. So that was kind of core premise of Cobrainer is you need this kind of translation layer. Any type of input
Mhm.
bringing back and explaining, oh, these are the skills you're talking about, and kind of unifying that. That's how we started, and that basically just rings through right till today, is
Yeah.
helping tie everybody in and actually allowing everybody to speak their unique language, the business as a whole, but also each business unit, and then translating that into a unified skills layer.
And that's a long journey from the university project to founding Cobrainer. And I know you are working with a lot of global customers, some of SAP Success Factors customer too. So give us some example, how how companies can and have used Cobrainer to simplify recruiting or cut down hiring time or improve internal mobility, basically the skills processes. Or talk, I want to hear about your skills platform too.
The underlying kind of narrative for our company is like really making skills work in the real world, right?
Yeah.
And the other part is a skills platform like ours will never be able to kind of really be powerful in and of itself. You need to tie into a very powerful platform that leverages skills. That actually took us quite some time. We were these naive founders. We thought we could build the entire platform ourselves. But after some learning period, we realized creating skill profiles, building the world's best job descriptions, the world's like largest and most deeply granular skills graph. That's one thing. But like using the skills in your daily processes, in performance, in development, in recruiting, in succession, and learning, we needed to tie into the leading platform. And we basically joined and we partnered up with Success Factors right in 2022. And this was, just that moment in time when the Success Factors team, you like really decided to double down on skills, where that's when that work started. So it really coincided well, our realization we need to work with the leading platform, and then the leading platform deciding to double down on skills.
You're
That
right.
was just kind
Right.
of like a match made in heaven. You were alluding to this in the beginning. There is this, almost unbelievable perfect storm happening for skills. But I think next year, it'll just ignite because we're seeing just a couple of, topics kind of come together. And let me just name a few. So number like the aspect of compliance, right? So like so many different rules and regulations are
Mhm.
starting to call for
Yes.
a
Yes.
very structured job architecture and skill requirements. This is like the compliance aspect is really something that many companies are now realizing, not just from EU perspective, EU pay transparency. There are a plethora of different industry regulations that now actively call for structured job architectures.
Yes.
So that's one. But then like the talent use cases in themselves, HR is in this very interesting spot right now through AI. I'm seeing decades old performance templates being restructured. I'm seeing like development processes being completely reworked. HR is completely revamping their processes, and they're in many cases thinking them skills based. And so that we've been lucky enough to be part of many of these processes. With one customer, we measured this with the CFO department. Once you have a job architecture in place, structured job roles, you actually have more transparency also for internal recruiting, internal mobility. We really saw after 1 year of implementing internal staffings, meaning the ratio of jobs that were staffed from existing and internal employees versus externals, it 4x. So it went from 11% in this company to
Wow.
44%, which is almost half.
Yeah.
So, so I think we're going to see an explosion of this internal marketplace, internal reallocation demand next to the compliance demand. We ended a really big return on investment study with one of our leading customers, BASF,
Yeah.
world leader in chemicals. They really asked the question like, what is the ROI of skills based
Yeah.
organization? And like one of those aspects obviously also is performance reviews. Like it also like turns out just the subjective parts of having managers having a framework of what to talk about. Turns out managers really love to get something that they can use to talk about. Employees are kind of always a little bit going into a black box, kind of unknown moment when they go into their performance reviews. How am I actually going to be rated? Turns out, if using Talent Intelligence Hub,
Yeah.
over your entire year, collect all these micro feedbacks on like skill proficiencies. It's totally predictable.
And I'm glad you talked about the ROI because I was going to ask about change management because, in a moving from the legacy HR practices, which is more job based, to skills first mindset is often seen with resistance, from leadership managers, maybe employees. So I was going to ask you, how do you sell this to organizations?
What I love to say, when people ask, like, do we really need all these different skills for all these different jobs? Who's going to maintain that? Well, by the way, the AI maintains that, but like, why do we actually need it? Think about who's the consumer of a job role, right? And there are now actually two main consumers: humans and AIs. Agents, matching agents, staffing agents, uh, you know, generative engine agents, like agents will start to be like probably the more prevalent, the more a common consumer of a job role description.
100%. Yeah.
So you really need to start thinking about everything you do as HR. You now have two consumers, humans
Yeah.
and agents. And
Yeah.
that's kind of this like, oh my God, yeah, we actually need this, not just for compliance reasons. And actually, the processes do work better because it turns out a little bit more granularity than a rough job role description actually also helps the manager in their performance review.
You mentioned agents, and I remember seeing your post about a innovation that you were building around agent. Maybe I think you posted right after HR Tech or Success Connect. Tell us a bit more about that.
So like it's kind of like on a meta level, skills is still something that many organizations, many teams are trying to grasp, right? Not only organizations and HR teams that be able to wrap their head around it, actually also consultants that are in this HR transformation space for years, but they're probably somewhat still skeptics because they've probably also seen skill management solutions try and fail before. At some point we realize, hey, we actually need to help consultants consult better in terms of how to actually implement skills.
Yeah, yeah.
So the obvious solution is just, to build a job architecture agent on
Hmm.
top of our job architecture AI, which actually has agentic aspects to it as well. But an agent in terms of um, a a chatbot that can actually do operations on your job architecture, right?
I
So
love that. Yeah.
yeah. And so basically what we now have is it's almost like a dedicated job architecture that you can put on top of the Cobrainer job architecture,
Hmm.
that it really is an imperative to involve your organization, meaning you want subject matter experts in different departments. You want hiring managers to be feedbacking, reviewing jobs, just for the sake of them being aware that this kind of job role content change will happen and skills change will happen. So they will perform certain edits. This is also AI supported. They're going to have a really easy life in just, reviewing and feedbacking these job roles. Subject matter experts throughout your organization being part of this job architecture review and administration workflow. They will do stuff, right? And you want to still have that overview of like, what did they do? But you don't want to read every single edit they do. So you want that agent
Got it. Okay.
to like collect all these feedbacks and to signal
Yeah.
back, hey, I've taken care of all the reviews. They're all totally in line with your rules and compliance regulations. You're fine. Just click verify. So it kind of helps you just like being the meta admin, and that the agent basically continuously helps like pulling in new job roles, giving you an understanding of like, is a new job role on the market relevant to you? Why is it relevant? Where does it fit in?
Interesting. Okay.
Um, the agent also performs certain like any type of like summarizations that you're interested in. These would be like high in demand job roles or high risk job roles, and architecture, and not having to scour through it.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to hear that, Hans, because I've been talking to a lot of customers in last 2 or 3 years, on an average, at least one new customer per week around a skills-based organization primarily. And the key challenge that I hear from most of the customers is around job architecture. I mean, that's a massive work. what you are building with agents or agentic, that's definitely going to amplify or help them with that work, definitely support them. It can work as a catalyst.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely, and now, like, I didn't even, like, I only briefly mentioned the topic of compliance, and turns out, right, compliance is totally continuous. Business continuity planning for each individual role, you're gonna have to have an individual risk assessment in terms of impact of, lack of talent on that role. So, like, these regulations, they require such deep
Yeah.
documentation per
Yeah.
role that
Yeah.
can only be handled by AI. Now, imagine your organization is going to change a lot in the next years. New roles are going to appear in an organization with 900 job roles. You can totally expect 30 to 40 new job roles to appear per month. Like, not necessarily to have them flow into your system, but relevant new job roles appear on the market where you should have an knowledge that these exist, and you should actively make a decision to include them or not in your career plan, because they're either relevant to your business or they're relevant to the career aspirations of your employees because they're seeing them on LinkedIn. And all these need to be classified in these compliance systems. Who's going to do that? Only AI.
Yeah, and that's lot of labor intensive work. I mean, definitely how many humans you need to do that kind of work. So you definitely need some AIs agents. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Um,
just prime use case for AI.
so Hans, I have been following you for a while, and you have talked about, in your story, a world where people navigate careers based on purpose and skills rather than just job titles. What is your advice for our listeners, and the listeners being HR practitioners, managers, how to prepare for a skill centric future?
I think, I love kind of the narrative that I'm hearing actually, Rinky, from your team. Just get started, start small. This is like the constant
Yes.
narrative I'm hearing from the SAP team, right? If you put this theoretical philosophy on top of like skills
Yeah.
management, you
Yeah.
tend to never get started, right? You tend to kind of stay in your lab as an HR department and kind of talk about what is a skill versus a competency, like what is like
Oh, yeah.
what are different philosophies of skill clustering and all that stuff. That'll solve itself for HR. I think it's just so important to just get like talk to your first business unit. You're going to be surprised how open they'll be towards skill management because a lot of like these business units outside of HR actually already do it in Excel and bothered by having to do this manual skill management, skill matrix work in Excel. And so go talk to the business units and just try to solve for them not having to use Excel anymore. And that's like just taking that first step.
Yeah.
It'll show you number one, it's not theoretical because it already exists in your organization in the form of Excel. Second of all, it's not that complicated, right? And you don't really have to come up with this big theoretical description of what a skill is to tackle this, right? And third, um, you'll see basically an impact pretty fast because they're all used to doing it in Excel, and it's really, really, bugging them. That's kind of my number one narrative that I just want to kind of complete. And I stole this from Rinky,
Yeah.
is to get started small.
Start
Um,
small. Yeah.
I
Start
think like
small, but start now in your skill set journey. And I think you already mentioned this during our conversation. Hans, if I have to ask you that the top three things that you think Cobrainer can help SAP success factor customers to be a skills based organization, what would that be?
the number one thing is speed. We just help you get started with skills within, like, let me say, a week or less. So we help you get started with skills really fast
Perfect.
because Talent Intelligence Hub, Success Factors, is this great platform. The skills library is empty. Why is it empty? Because the set of skills that is required for this platform to work is unique to every organization. So it's
100%.
not something that you can buy. You should not like buy an out like off the shelf skills set. You
Yeah.
need to define it as an organization. But
Yeah.
nowadays you could like this definition of your organization skill set
Yeah.
that can happen within a week. Number two, I want to say quality, but it's more this translation layer. It's more this layer of not requiring everybody to come up with this perfect, like this one skill word, and everybody has to use that one word, right?
Right.
But
Right.
being more forgiving in terms of the way you describe yourself, the way you wrote your CV or your work history, the way the course is described, being more forgiving and having that translation layer, which ultimately boils down to quality in terms of the actual kind of skill data that everything translates to, will just be much more fitting to all these different, pieces
Yeah.
of content, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. And Hans, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I'm a success factor employee, and oftentimes customers ask us, "Why don't you give a skills library?" So I'm going to refer to this conversation to hear your.
I mean, this and by the way, this is like, and let me just tell okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say something not super great probably, but this is not unique to success factors. Every single HR platform
Yeah.
made this realization: do
Yeah.
not offer an off the shelf skill set
Yeah.
because it has to be unique to the business. It has to be
100%.
unique to the company. And
Yeah.
and so everybody does it this way. And we're trying to also push it like it's called like skills origination or skills seeding. So basically coming up with that list of skills that is your list as a
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
That's just like the most important process.
Wow, awesome. Uh, those were some great insights, Hans. I have a fun segment for you. Typically, I have asked my guest about a movie they relate to with skills transformation, but I have a rapid fire round for you. I'm not going to ask you about movie. Okay. So I have a few questions and you can give an answer in one or max two words. Okay.
Okay.
So, what is that one skill everyone claims to have, but most actually they don't?
I personally claimed I had it. I didn't have it for a long time. It's going to be like super strict, but team building. It's so
Team
hard.
building?
Team
Okay.
building, so
Yeah,
hard.
I'll take that. So one underrated skill that will be a superpower in 2030.
Okay. Not sure if it's underrated.
Yeah,
Skill that we will be all talking about more and more, is agency.
agency. Okay.
Agency. Agency is something like origination of ideas, being able to pull ideas from different sources, and absurdly, like for me, I love this paradox of like,
Yeah.
um, the one thing agents lack is agency. So the one thing that distinguishes humans from agents is agency.
Okay. And what is the most overused skill buzzword right now?
Wow, the most
Uh,
over. Oh, the most overused. That's a hard one, actually.
yeah.
Um,
I would say, I mean, for me,
mhm.
I think the most overused skills buzzword is first. But I think skill is important. It doesn't have to be first. It needs to go in parallel with job. So the true essence of skills based organization is both skills and job when they work closely with each other.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm just gonna like completely destroy my entire podcast interview now. I'm gonna say the most overused word right now is agents. I've been talking about agents a lot, and so like let me just kind of say like agents is super overused. But yeah, it's both
You're right.
overused.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
underused.
We have been using a lot of agents word right now, not the
Yeah,
007 kind, the other one.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
here is the easy one. Coffee or tea? What
yeah.
gives you the best ideas?
Definitely coffee. I'm a
Coffee?
coffee
Okay.
junkie, coffee addict.
Okay. Last one. One skill you think AI will never fully replace. What is that one skill?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, agency. I hope like that's right now. There's nothing on the horizon that kind of implies that agency will ever be replaceable. Is this like you're in a white room, no influences, humans just start with ideas, agents will just not do anything. Hopefully, agency is the one thing that they will never replace, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the empathy also. That's a
Yeah,
very true human skill
really,
that
it's a
AI
really
will not replace. Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
That was some great insight, Hans. The skills based organization in a truly skill centric approach, I think we move beyond job titles and years of experience. Instead, we focus on what people can actually do, their skills, and how those skills can be applied across roles, projects, and moments of opportunity. And I think this is exactly where our open skill ecosystem partners or partners like Cobrainer play such an important role. So you help our customers with turn this messy job data into a clean, living skills architecture that platforms like TIH can truly activate across talent lifecycle. Thanks for your time again. I know it's pretty late. Maybe I'm keeping you away from your dinner. I also want to ask the listeners what they want to hear next around skills or skills-based organization.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay golden. Bye-bye.